With an update on a star that's been absent from programming and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on, and don't forget to like the video. Randy Orton recently confirmed a story that had been shared about him. As Ringside News wrote, Randy Orton, known for his early WWE days of rebellious antics and controversial behavior, recently addressed an old story that gained significant attention. This story was originally shared by Cody Rhodes with the media and had resurfaced, reminding fans what Orton used to be like. During their time in the Legacy stable, where Randy Orton mentored Cody Rhodes, Rhodes often drove Orton around. Upon returning to WWE in 2022, the American Nightmare shared a wild story from their days on the road. He recounted an incident in South Africa where Orton ripped a urinal off the wall with his bare hands just for fun. The story gets even weirder as Orton later joined others in trying to figure out who committed the act. In a recent interview on Jazzy's World TV, Randy Orton confirmed that the story is true and provided more context. He explained that he was, at that time, known for his unpredictable and sometimes reckless behavior. The urinal incident is just one of the many crazy stories from his career. I think we were long gone before anyone knew who did it. The story is true, but Cody Rhodes has been known to exaggerate his stories in the past, so I don't remember everything about the situation, but there was a bit of flooding, and I did rip a urinal off of the wall, yes. I didn't get in trouble though, so that's all that matters. Going over WWE strategy in regards to premium live events being held outside the US, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, the original idea was to keep WrestleMania and Royal Rumble in the United States and Canada, and SummerSlam and Survivor Series probably too, but basically sell most of the other ones all over the world like they just did with France, and they're going to do with Germany and other places they've got all over the world. That's the new model. The old model of marketing to the fans doesn't matter anymore. It's cool that they're successful in selling lots of tickets, but there's no giant pressure to do so, and if and when they get cold, it doesn't matter. They're not going to struggle. The last UFC show, I'm sure, did nothing. The last WWE show, the show from France, as far as interest levels with the public, got the Google number, got the pay-per-view number. It's very clear that this show, for whatever reason, this show did not have much interest as compared to a normal WWE show. It doesn't matter because they get paid the same either way. As far as in Lyon, France, they did a $3 million gate and got a site fee. So even if they put on this 5-match show in the afternoon, obviously as compared to a normal show, people are not watching. It doesn't matter because they're fine anyway. After AEW Dynamite went off the air, Bryan Danielson would talk to those in attendance and even take chops from Eddie Kingston.
But just so that you guys can see me do something physical, Eddie? Eddie, chop me for these people. These people have been so awesome. Let's give them what they want one more time. This guy with the mustache is a real sicko. You know what? This is a whole crowd of sickos. You know what else is a sicko? This guy right here. One more time.
Speaking of last night's AEW Dynamite, there was concern that fans could end up leaving the show early, as Ringside News wrote that this week's episode of AEW Dynamite had stiff competition from an NHL playoff game between the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. The game, held in Edmonton, posed a challenge for AEW both in terms of ratings and local fan engagement. Dave Meltzer discussed the situation on Wrestling Observer Radio, noting that there was concern fans might leave Dynamite early to watch the hockey game, which was set to draw a significant crowd. Meltzer explained that on Monday's show, there was a large gathering scheduled in Edmonton for Oilers fans, potentially impacting AEW's attendance. They did okay, the crowd, because there was a lot of concern about the crowd leaving because of the hockey game, and a lot of people left right at whatever time it was. I think they're mountain time, so it would have been 8 o'clock. A lot of people left at 8 o'clock. You know, they didn't stay for the Ring of Honor stuff. Meltzer also mentioned that fans in Edmonton are passionate about hockey, leading to a noticeable number of Edmonton Oilers jerseys throughout the venue. This passion translated into some light-hearted rivalry during the show. When AEW mentioned Vancouver, where the Canucks are from, the crowd booed loudly, especially when Kyle O'Reilly talked about wrestling in Vancouver. But they did stay, like I was told, like people did not leave. They wanted to see who, because the last thing on the show was the announcement of who the team AEW was, and people did stay for that. The only reshot people all over that building in Edmonton Oilers jerseys. They were everywhere. The other, because they were playing Vancouver. And when they brought up the show in Vancouver, and that, like Kyle O'Reilly talked about wrestling in Vancouver, that was probably the most boos it was. You couldn't yet tell other than Don Callis. That's probably the most boos because of the fact that they're playing Vancouver in the playoffs right now in Edmonton, is a major hockey city. Talking about the evolution of the creative process, Randy Orton said this on Adam's Apple. With Nick Khan, Triple H, and Bruce Pritchard, so many things have changed from a creative standpoint. They are thinking months and months and months in advance. Before, we were kind of flying by the seat of our pants. Creative was changed minutes before we went live each week. I don't mean sometimes. I mean each week creative was changed. It'd be 5 p.m. You'd be on the East Coast going live in 2 or 3 hours, and you wouldn't know what you were doing, and that's a very stressful environment, and you're not going to have the best product in the world if you're doing it like that every week. So just purely from a creative standpoint, you're able to let it marinate and think about, okay, how am I going to do this? Or how can I make this better? Or maybe there are tweaks, but you don't do it 10 minutes before you go live. With AEW All in Wembley taking place later in the year, Kyle O'Reilly said this regarding a possible opponent as he told Conversations with the Wrestling Classic, I mean, considering it's Wembley and it would potentially be home turf for him, how could I not say Will Ospreay? I mean, the guy is just a phenomenal talent. You watch him and it's like, wow, you're watching history happen in front of your eyes when you see him wrestle. So recently on Dynamite, we wrestled for the first time ever. We'd never touched, and I thought we had good chemistry. So yeah, if I'm booking fantasy booking, I'd love to wrestle Will. I mean, I'd love to wrestle Will on Dynamite any week of the year, but at Wembley, I mean, could you imagine a better environment to wrestle a guy like that? Recalling the hiring process she went through for WWE, recently released star Emma Diaz said this to Ringside News. I was a dual sport athlete and WWE just reached out to me and they were like, we want to get to know you and we want to invite you to a tryout. So I had an interview with them. I told them my story. I'm from Miami, Florida, and my father, he actually got in a raft and spent 7 days in the ocean coming here from Cuba. So that's what motivates me, and they were honestly really inspired by that story, and they invited me to the tryouts, and I had no training. I was 3 weeks, this was 3 weeks before the tryout. I didn't know what to expect, and I went and I worked really hard, and I transformed in 3 days. I made a lot of improvements, and I think that the coaches saw how much I grew 2 in just 3 days, and they ended up giving me a contract to come to the Performance Center. And you know, I worked hard, and I did just that, and I made a lot of progress in the first year of me being a WWE superstar. And you know, looking back, I'm excited to see like how much more I can grow. As Britt Baker has not wrestled for AEW since September, Diamond Dallas Page gave an update on her, telling Busted Open Radio she's been off TV for a while because of injury. She's coming back. She looks amazing. Her body looks great, and she was blown away by the pump that she got. She was live and ready to go. She was a little intimidated by the cold plunge, as most everybody is who has never done it. She got in there. It's all mental. Within a minute, she owned it. She stayed for 3 minutes. It's like 41 degrees. It was a great day all around. Just talking about the business, what she wants to do when she comes back, and all of that. She's a top talent. You're looking at men and women. You're looking at Brit. What she's done as a character, as a promo, and what she's done in the ring. I'm looking forward to seeing her get back. Paige also posted a video with her on X following a workout.
We just got done with our workout. Those power cups, how you feeling, Britt?
Cooked.
Cooked.
Arms are cooked.
Are you feeling that pump? Yeah, baby. Oh. Woo!
Woo!
Back in the gym.
We're back. Let's go, baby!
For details on WWE's deal with Saudi Arabia and Nick Khan's role in this, Ringside News wrote that WWE established a very important and strategic 10-year-long relationship with the country of Saudi Arabia back in 2018 when Vince McMahon was in charge, which has transitioned into multiple successful events, experiences, and tremendous growth for both parties. In discussions surrounding WWE's future business ventures regarding their association with Saudi Arabia, Mark Shapiro, president of Endeavor, addressed the same during the TKO Q1 earnings call. Moreover, he highlighted WWE CEO Nick Khan's pivotal role in maintaining a robust relationship with Saudi Arabia, emphasizing the continuity and strength of the partnership. He clarified that while the deals were largely associated with former WWE Chairman Vince McMahon, Nick Khan has seamlessly transitioned into a leadership position, actively nurturing the bond between WWE and the Kingdom. Shapiro affirmed the trust and confidence both parties have in each other, underscoring their ongoing commitment to delivering successful events. While acknowledging the potential for future collaboration, Mark Shapiro stated that there are currently no concrete plans beyond the 2 annual WWE Premium Live events, with the next one being WWE King and Queen of the Ring coming this month. He hinted at the possibility of expanding WWE's presence in Saudi Arabia, perhaps by enhancing the spectacle and experience of these events. Let's remember, we have a strong and healthy relationship with the Kingdom through WWE and doing 2 annual events a year. I'll remind folks that those deals were primarily highly tied to Vince McMahon. There was a lot of speculation with Vince being gone. Would that impact the relationship in a negative way? Would they be looking to get out of it? I would say that Nick Khan in particular has developed, sustained, cultivated, and nurtured a very strong relationship and a handoff from Vince. They have a lot of trust and faith in each other. We've been delivering on those events. Potentially, we could look to do more events, but nothing is planned beyond those 2 events at this time. We will continue to look at festivalizing those WWE events more than we already do. Mark Shapiro's statement regarding Nick Khan actively working towards building the future of WWE by nurturing strategic relationships after reports of selling TKO shares were dismissed indicates to the fact that Khan will prove to be an integral part in leading WWE towards a progressive future. Taking to X, SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis gave an update on the King of the Ring tournament.
Good afternoon, WWE Universe. It's your SmackDown GM, Nick Aldis, with an update and some slightly unfortunate news ahead of tomorrow's SmackDown, Friday, 8/7 Central, only on Fox. Unfortunately, as many of you know, Bobby Lashley was set to take on Tama Tonga in the King of the Ring but I've been informed that Bobby has suffered an injury during training and is going to be unable to compete. He's not been medically cleared to compete in that match tomorrow night. So, unfortunate news for Bobby Lashley, but a fortunate opportunity for the man taking his place. And that man, I have decided, will be Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits. So, tomorrow, for the first time ever, Angelo Dawkins of the Street Profits will go one-on-one with Tama Tonga in the King of the Ring. Best of luck to both of those men, and I'll see you all there tomorrow night, only on SmackDown.
Talking about Orange Cassidy taking a pile driver on the steel steps following his victory over Trent Beretta on AEW Dynamite, Bully Ray said this on Busted Open Radio. "I would hate any company who ever decided it was okay to have a talent no-sell a pile driver on the steel steps, a teeter-totter neck breaker to the iron frame of the ring, and be back up 10 to 15 seconds later, prepared to defend themselves. Orange Cassidy is 120 pounds soaking with a brick in his pocket and a feather on top of his head. But we're to believe he's indestructible. Even the most indestructible of indestructibles would not be able to withstand that. Orange Cassidy should have been stretchered out. Neck in a brace, whatever, not on his feet, and not defending himself. I'm sorry folks, this is where AEW needs a lot of help. Here is my constructive criticism on that particular moment in time and that story. Don't ever do it again. It's wrong. You are taking the pile driver on the steel steps and the move that was done afterwards and throwing it out the door. There's got to be legitimacy, credibility to something. If you wanted him to just stand up, why not give him a regular pile driver? Why not just attack him on the floor and just give him a pile driver on the floor? Wouldn't that have been enough? I still would have been pissed, but a lot less pissed if it was just a pile driver on the floor, because a pile driver on the steel steps is a lot more devastating than the one on the floor, followed up by another move. When it comes to the possibility of a now ex-WWE executive joining Vince McMahon in a new business venture, Ringside News wrote that Vince McMahon is currently dealing with a sex trafficking lawsuit, but other people were also involved, and now it seems the possibility of former WWE COO Brad Bloom joining Vince McMahon in a new venture has been revealed. On January 25th, Janelle Grant, a former WWE staff member, filed a lawsuit against WWE John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon, alleging incidents of sexual assault, emotional abuse, and sex trafficking dating back to March of 2019. The lawsuit contains grave accusations against these high-profile individuals, shedding light on significant misconduct within the company and calling into question the safety and integrity of the workplace environment at WWE. As previously reported, Chief Operating Officer Brad Bloom tendered his resignation from WWE last week. PW Insider reports that Brad Bloom completed his tenure on Friday, May 3rd. Bloom had been Vince McMahon's chief of staff during McMahon's leadership and first joined WWE in 2006. He took on greater responsibilities in 2020. Bloom left WWE initially after Vince McMahon's first retirement, following reports by the Wall Street Journal, which eventually led to the Janelle Grant lawsuit. However, when McMahon returned to sell the company to Endeavor, Bloom wasted no time in returning to WWE. As someone closely associated with Vince McMahon, Bloom's departure has fueled speculation that it may be linked to McMahon's potential new business venture. There's been ongoing talk about McMahon's plans post-WWE, but no concrete evidence has emerged to confirm these rumors. Nonetheless, Bloom's exit and the surrounding chatter suggest a possible connection to whatever venture McMahon might be exploring next. We'll have to see whether the two end up working together again somehow. In an update on the legal saga of a former WWE name, Ringside News wrote that Daniel Rodimer, also known as Dan Rodman during his time in WWE, was part of the wrestling company from 2006 to 2007 as a participant in Tough Enough. Despite a brief stint in WWE, Rodimer's name has recently resurfaced due to his involvement in a murder case. Rodimer, who was wanted in connection with a murder investigation, voluntarily surrendered to the authorities after an arrest warrant was issued. He then posted bond. The specifics of the case point to a homicide that occurred on October 29th at Resorts World Las Vegas. We had reported that he was officially charged with murder and was set to appear in court this month. According to KRNV, Daniel Rodimer has entered a not guilty plea to the murder charge. Rodimer appeared with his attorneys for an arraignment hearing before Judge Tara Jones in Clark County District Court on Wednesday. During the hearing, the prosecutor announced that the case would not be considered for the death penalty. Judge Jones set the trial date for February 3rd of next year. Rodimer's legal team indicated they plan to file a pre-trial petition to challenge the indictment. The situation involving Daniel Rodimer is a troubling one, and we'll have to see what will become of the former Tough Enough contestant once the trial starts next year. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.